sunshine. It's a brand new day. Got the world on my mind. Ain't no time to play. Chasing dreams, running fast, feeling no delay. We're the watchdogs, always watching what they say. Eyes wide open, we're taking what's ours. Breaking through the silence, aiming for the stars.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in for episode 3 of West Virginia Wire Watchdog Wednesday. You guys, we have another special episode for you. We weren't sure if we were going to crank it out or not. I've got myself, Regina Connell, and my husband, Big Russ, my faithful co-host and husband and partner in life. You guys, we also have with us Backyard Brawl Politics once again in the house. So let's bring up ladies first, of course, Kira, Land of Illusion from the X platform. And then we have our community leader, captain of the ship of Backyard Brawl Politics, West Virginia in the house, North Carolina in the house. Say hey, James. Say hey, Kira.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey guys, what's going on? Regina, Big Russ, and Jim. What are you doing? How are you? Let's go.
Great as usual.
How you doing, babe?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Y'all ready to dig in today? So you guys, we've got a great show planned for you tonight. So yesterday, Justin, one of the members of the community, he couldn't make it tonight, but we were glad he was able to make it yesterday and last night for the interview. So we put down a recording of our governor who delivered a press conference, and it also streamed live under Governor Patrick Morrisey's X platform. So you could go check him out on the X platform. Anyway, so we were listening to the disaster relief. So I think that would be a good time. I clipped out some of that. So as guaranteed, my word is bond. We're going to release that immediately after this live. You guys, let's check in with the local weather. We'll do a round robin. We're going to check in with our local weather here in Boone County, unincorporated Foster, West Virginia. Hubby's going to deliver that for us and tell us what's been going on. He might even tell you about the broke down bus in the holler. I don't know. And then North Carolina is going to come in with their weather. And then James is going to tell us what's going on in his neck of the woods in West Virginia. So let's get started, babe. Go ahead.
Pretty cold right now. Here we've got snow. We got about maybe 5 inches or so. Still expecting some more tonight. But so they called off school today. They called off school tomorrow already. So just dealing with what I feel like might be the last leg of the really nasty winter weather that we're having. But I'm definitely over it already and ready to get on to some warmer weather, springtime. So, but
let's talk about, I do want to talk about the conflicting reports between Punxsutawney Phil and the West Virginia Gopher, because the West Virginia said that we were going to have springtime, I think, and Punxsutawney Phil said, nope, 6 more weeks of winter, remember?
Right. And we still might catch that. It's looking like 50s and closer to 60s if you look at the 10-day forecast coming up. So I really think that this will be the last of it, but I'm definitely ready for it to get out of here. I've had enough of the snow, enough of the rain, enough of all of it. We've had floods. If it's not been flooding, it's been snowing, and I'm done with all of it. Our 7-year-old has probably only been to school maybe 3 out of a 5-day week, maybe 3 days since way before Christmas. So it's been horrible, and
yeah.
I'm done with it and ready to get on to warmer weather. So
brighter pastures
here.
Yeah. All right, well, let's check in with North Carolina, my lady. And we have some visual aid, too. So go ahead, my lady. What's going on in North Kakalaki?
Well, we were so excited. We had a snow day today. The weather reports were calling for major snow for us in Union County, North Carolina. And so we all got out of work and out of school, and we were supposed to get 1 to 3 inches, and we got a couple little snowflakes. So that's all we got. I don't think
y'all see those few little snowflakes outside that window of her mother's house. I think I see a couple right there, maybe stuck to the window.
Maybe.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, I took my dog out and she was not impressed at all with the snow. But we are going to be in the 60s next week, so I think this is also the end of it for us.
I
Thank
love
God.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that check-in on North Carolina. All right, James, you're on deck, sir.
It's a lovely 19 degrees here in Berkeley County, West Virginia. I think we're looking at what's that, 18 tonight, so that's still low. So it's not too bad. It's been worse. I mean, some people, I don't think they could survive 18 degrees, but that's the life here in the great mountain state, you know, and that's
Never know what can happen in the Appalachian Mountains, huh?
Hey, I
right.
tell you though, when back a week or so ago when it was down to in the single digits and near zero around here, I mean the power bills have been crazy around here. I don't know about up there, but I mean it's just I don't know how we deal with it with 3 times the amount of power bills that we're having to pay right now.
I'm just thankful that we have such cheap electricity in general in our state because we're a coal state.
Yeah,
Last I checked, it was like 11 or 12 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's expensive for us, but I mean, a lot of people, it's like I know people in other states where it's like 3, 4 times that. I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
It will get better though with because I mean, and that's another thing we'll touch on that the viewers can go and watch the video of Patrick Morrissey's overall plan. And I will say this, Governor Morrissey, we do thank you for making the choice, and I know that you would have made that choice anyway. So I will say that you stayed in West Virginia where we needed you versus going on your planned trip to Washington D.C. And I know that I mean that's how we do here in the hollers in all of West Virginia really is we rally together and we band together and we stay together. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to go to North Carolina. Kira's got a few things that are happening in North Carolina that I think really play into what's been going on with our youth. What kind of things can be gateways as far as, and what role do we play as parents and not only caring for our children, but for others' children when they come over and our children's friends inner circle. So Kira, tell us what you got for us, girl.
Yeah, so I thought this was really interesting. There were 2 high schoolers who left a party and got on their ATV, and it was a horrible, horrible crash back in August. They were both deceased on scene. And today, the mom finally was held accountable for allowing these boys to leave her party. And I know you have a little bit of the article there, but it's very important. We hear about the school shootings, and finally they're holding parents accountable if needed. But I think it's just very important as a reminder to let parents know that it's not cool to say, oh, you can come to my house and do it as long as you're here, because you're still held responsible. And this is exactly the proof that you are going to be held responsible for such tragedy and something you're putting out for other people to do.
Agreed. So the title of the article is Woman Arrested Months After 2 High Schoolers Died in North Carolina ATV Crash. So charges come after deadly August 2024 crash killed 2 high school football players. And why is it always the athletes? That's what kills me. So we're just going to read a little bit more. So Roseman County, North Carolina, a woman has been arrested and charged with manslaughter 6 months after. So that's good. 6 months. Sometimes people wait for years.
Yeah.
6 months after 2 high school football players died in an ATV accident in Western North Carolina. Court documents confirmed that 34-year-old Ashley Marie Darity was indicted on 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter on February 11th. She was arrested 2 days later, so they didn't waste any time with that. The indictment said Darity's charges are related to the deaths of Lane Jones and Jaden Reynaldo, both of whom died in a 4-wheeler accident in Transylvania County on August 24th. 2024. So just a little more context. State troopers told sister station WHNS that Jones and Reynolds were riding on a Polaris Sportsman 4-wheeler along Old Wagon Road when they went around a curve, drove off the road, and hit a tree. They both died at the scene. Now, let me just ask you guys something. Is the make and the model of that ATV, was that really necessary? Was that Polaris is the maker of that ATV, are they not?
They
I'm
are, and I remember I saw this a while back when it first happened, and such a sad incident, and it resonated with me really because where we live at here in Boone County, there are ATV trails like everywhere around here. You got the Hatfield and McCoy trails, and they build uh, as a part of the Boone, a lot of the Boone and Logan County, and some into Lincoln County. Um, the a lot of the economy, local economy around here, relies on people coming from all over the place to ride these trails for on their ATVs and stuff. So it resonated with me, and then it's just so sad to see that these two young kids, they happen to be football players, which I was a football player. So a lot of that story resonated with me. But I can only imagine, they were probably at a party, probably had some alcohol and stuff involved in it, decided it would be cool to go for a ride, and then some bad things happen. I don't know if that's exactly how it happened, but
Well, let me interject here. So
it happened.
yeah, so the article did state that's why the woman was arrested. She obviously either provided the alcohol for the underage youths that lost their lives as a result of drinking. So somehow they had to have been able to prove that, she was somehow complicit. Either she saw them doing it and did not make any effort to stop it. But I'm thinking it had to have happened, like they had to have consumed it like on her property, right? Isn't that how North Carolina works? You think?
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. All right. So we are moving right along. What else you got to report in North Carolina? North Carolina's popping off tonight, you guys.
Yeah, this one hits close to home. I work in a salon, so when I read this one, I was like, "Whoa!" A gunman, he held up 9 people hostage in a salon. He At first I thought, how could he possibly get any money? Not many people pay with cash in a salon. Or wear jewelry for anything. But yeah, he was able to get away with $800 in cash and a bunch of their credit cards and jewelry. But I just thought it was really interesting to point out. It's one of the last things I would think of is somebody walking into my salon and robbing me or at gunpoint. So that was just, just jump in because it made me speechless.
No, you're good. It does make you speechless. I'm speechless with you. And I was sitting here reading this and I was trying to get it on screen at the same time. But no, you're right. So let's read the context of this article. You guys, we will put all the links to these. We like to provide you with receipts. So if you guys would like to go read the articles further at your leisure. So right now, let's get into this. Gunman holds 9 people hostage in Charlotte salon heist. Now, if it's in the section of Charlotte, do you know which well, let me read it just a little bit just to see, because there's an uptown and there's a downtown if you're familiar with the Charlotte area. So we used to always say, if you're going to party, then you're going uptown Charlotte. If you're going to jail, then you're going downtown Charlotte.
Yep.
That's just about, and I don't know why this keeps doing this to me. So here we go, you guys. Let's get into this article. So, yeah, the man. Sorry, the ads are ridiculous on this.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. The man entered the salon on Saturday, displayed a gun, and robbed the 9 people inside the shop, according to a CMPD police report, and that's Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. So investigators are examining the possibility that a man with a gun robbed and held 9 people at gunpoint in East Charlotte on Saturday. So that tells us exactly where it's. Maybe you were East Side, weren't you?
Yep.
Uh-oh. All right, witnesses, and he could tell you about his high school. Maybe he'll interject a little bit. Witnesses told Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department investigators the man entered the salon located. Dang, they're okay. We know exactly where Eastway located at 352 Eastway Drive and pointed a gun at the 9 people inside, according to the CMPD documentation. The armed suspect then forced all occupants to lay on the ground and remove all the items from their pockets, according to the officer's documentation of the incident. The address is listed as Franklin Salon Hispano. Police documentation shows over $800 in cash was stolen, along with a variety of purses, wallets, and debit cards. Those who spoke with the police after the alleged robbery claimed they did not know the identity of the man. The suspect is being sought on the allegations of armed robbery and kidnapping. So, you guys, let's go ahead and put the crime tip line in there. Anyone with information can call the CMPD, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department Crime Stoppers tip line at 704-334-1600. That number again, 704-334-1600. If you know anyone, any detail, no matter how small you think it may be, please do contact the proper authorities. We'll give that phone number one more time simply because 16 is my favorite number. 704-334-1600. All right, my lady. You want to
I
tail
just
end that
want,
one?
I have to say one more time, we do appointment only mostly. But when men walk in, it's rare that I would feel an off feeling, but that one really got me because I never thought about it. But yeah, I can move on to my next, which is my favorite.
Kira, I don't ever think that I don't know that I've ever heard of a salon, like of all the places that somebody would want to rob, a salon would probably be the last place I would think to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of convenience stores and other places that take in a lot more cash than I would think that a salon would.
You're 100% right. We've rarely taken cash. We don't carry much in there even to begin with for the start of the day. So it's a pretty big shocker. I mean, I can't imagine being in that situation. I've worked retail my whole life almost. And, I was always worried working retail when it was with the shoplifters or just people coming in to rob us. But no, never thought this would happen.
You got any thoughts? Oh, go ahead. Especially what?
So close to home. Like
Oh,
so close to home.
yeah. So we'll share, and speaking of Eastway, so Rusty has worked for Sherwin-Williams forever. And before Sherwin-Williams, he worked for Duron Paints and they acquired Sherwin-Williams. So he worked right off Wendover. We used to call it Bendover Avenue, remember? He worked off of Wendover Avenue, which is the highest crime. He would go every week. They were replacing the window where it would get busted out. He was constantly being stopped for checkpoints for DUI and drug paraphernalia, drug dogs, all of it. I mean, I was so worried about him. It was before we got married. It's been many years ago. And finally, that store's not there anymore, but it was so bad. And he went to work like a trooper every single day. And I was just like, please, I don't want you to do that anymore. James, what do you think? You got anything to weigh in on before we get to this last bit of North Carolina news?
Well, yeah, on the salon thing, this isn't the first time this has happened in a salon. I remember this several years back, an incident. It's quite disturbing. Again, I mean, it can happen anywhere. That's why so, everyone should carry everywhere. That's part of the great mountain state.
I've heard of barber shops maybe getting knocked over, barber shops, but I don't think I've ever heard of this was an actual salon, like a woman's getting their hair cut, or even guys could probably go there too. But it sounds like, I don't know, but you're right. We need to protect our Second Amendment rights. Absolutely. Always.
I think the last incident that I recall was a targeted event, it was targeted on a specific person.
I could see that.
Yeah. I don't know. You never know. There's some crazy stuff. All right, my lady.
All right.
Let's get to the final one.
The final and my favorite. This one has a video. I don't know if you got it. So 75 people protested outside Tom Tillis, who is the senator of North Carolina, his office, opposing Elon and Trump. And they want the money returned that was taken from some organizations, some funding, out of the U.S. aid. So they said they had up to like 15,000 calls a minute And Tom Tillis, of course, did not answer the phone, but we are trying to replace Tom Tillis. In fact, I'm working in campaigning with the person who wants to try to go after that position, Don Brown, who's the person I went to the movie preview. So I just thought there's a video that you could play, but I just thought that was pretty wild. 75. So the point is, we really need to work local, because if they're getting asked to complain about Elon and Trump, we need to do the same. So
I could not agree with you
Do you
more.
know exactly what the organization was that complained that money back that they feel like was taken from it? Probably was some kind of a wasted or not a very important organization, but I guess if you're a part of it, you feel like it's important. But
yeah, and I'm sure, and I may have missed something in the article or in the video, because I was like, wow, Tom Tillis. But
I got you.
yeah, it might be in there. That I don't think they mentioned the specific organization, but let's see.
Yeah, I'm populating it as we speak. Okay, here we go. We are cooking with gas. So you guys, protesters gather. Oh, they're in G-Borough, baby.
yeah,
We moved to
we
West
used to live
Virginia
in Winston-Salem, which was right there by Greensboro. So
Yeah. I've been in that Forsyth County Jail too, baby. All right, you guys. Sorry, I should have just left that to myself. All right, you guys. So yes, protesters gather outside Senator Tillis's office in Greensboro. So similar protests have taken place across the country opposing the Trump administration cuts. Like, who would oppose something like that? I don't know. So you guys, let's dig into this video. I'm trying to close that out, but it always does that when I do it. So I guess it doesn't want me to close out that ad. So let's play this.
At Grainger, we have over 1 million products, including the ones that help keep your workplace safe.
Dozens of people protested outside Senator Tillis's Greensboro office today, saying they were showing their disapproval with Elon Musk and President Trump's policies.
About 75 people protested at about 11 this morning, holding signs and chanting on North Line Avenue near the Friendly Shopping Center. Similar protests have taken place across the country, opposing the Trump administration's cuts.
Senator Tillis needs to show the courage that will not be tolerated, and that the funding that Congress has given to organizations and to agencies needs to be restored.
Protesters also complained they can't get in touch with Tillis. As we've reported, some Capitol Hill offices have been inundated with calls since Trump returned to office. At one point, lawmakers were getting 1,500 calls per minute.
1,500 calls per minute. How did the phone lines even sustain that many phone calls? Could you imagine if our local, if our, because you haven't had the pleasure of hearing the recordings yet from the governor's office, but man, their faces would melt off. If they got 10 at one time, I think their faces would melt off. But I'm not going to beat up the governor's office because we are hoping to work together. All right, guys. So that's it for North Carolina. So any thoughts, final thoughts on those three stories, you guys? And then we're going to jump into what James has for us. And then we're going to close out with the 2 teaser clips we have. We've got about 6 minutes of clips from what we're going to release after the live tonight. So James, take it away.
All right, so I got two things. One's a closure to a vicious assault that happened earlier this month in Morgantown. In West Virginia, we don't have the crazy stuff that happens across the country as much, and some protests that actually happen. So let's close this out.
You're good. We'll keep it going until you get it going. So you guys, this would be a good point to please, if you are just now joining us, welcome. We thank you. Please stay till the end. And at the end, if we have earned your subscription, we thank you for it. So we're just going to go ahead and thank you in advance for smashing that subscribe button. You guys, we are streaming across Rumble. We are streaming across Facebook. We are streaming across the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, under Queen Connell 16, as well as Backyard Brawl Politics. You guys, please consider joining the community. You don't have to be from West Virginia to join it. The only two requirements are what, James? Tell them.
Yeah, you have to be America first and or only.
There you go.
We got it.
All right. So, 9 people were finally arrested in connection with an assault that took place in downtown Morgantown earlier this, I believe it was on the 9th. So according to criminal complaints found in Mongolia County, Eli Marva, 22 of Uniontown, and 18, and Ryland Rook, 18 of Clarksburg, have both been charged with felony malicious assault after they were identified through surveillance footage. This took place on February 9th, where officers were called to Casa de Amicia on High Street, where a victim was found bleeding with lacerations on the head. According to a criminal complaint, the altercation started as an attempt to steal the victim's diamond necklace, with, I don't mean to laugh, which was taken by the individuals who participated in the assault. Video footage taken inside the restaurant showed that 2 of the 9 people charged kicked the victim in the head while laying motionless on the ground, with others participating in striking the victim later in the video. The city of Morgantown is set to formally release information on all 9 suspects in the coming days. So I would imagine that means that some of them were probably juveniles. The fact that, especially being West Virginia, that they didn't release all the names and or photos. As you know, here you get you get arrested for a DUI or something like that. You're in the paper. You're on Facebook. You're blasted everywhere, even simple shoplifting, whatever it may be.
Why didn't they blast me in the papers? I wish they would have done that. Go ahead, James. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that in. I got arrested for offending someone's delicate hearing senses. It was actually a misunderstanding. I said I told my neighbor I beat my husband, and she called the law on me, and he was at Walmart. All right, keep going, James. Sorry.
And I'll jump over the protest. Yeah, you can actually get in trouble for swearing on the boardwalk in Virginia Beach if you've ever been to Virginia Beach. That's a thing. The last time I went there. Okay, so let's.
I like those old blue laws. Those I would have so fit in back then that because in To Kill a Mockingbird, you guys please join Bobina's Book Nook. You guys, we're going to be wrapping up Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance, a memoir of the family and culture in crisis. You guys, it's been a great journey getting to know our new Vice President J.D. Vance. So you guys join us tomorrow. I've got a special guest coming to give her testimony directly after the final 15th chapter of Hillbilly Elegy. So I thought that was just a great point to interject that. You ready to do your next one, James?
Yeah, we'll just keep this short and sweet. This is a rare thing. Usually it's, protests like here in Berkeley County are like 9 or 10 people in front of the courthouse. So they had in front of the Mongolia County courthouse, more than 100 people gathered in protest of President Trump and Elon Musk on the Doge cuts. So this is actually, I know it's only 100 people. That's actually quite rare for out here. You know what I mean? We're very, very, very red state. We've had some Democrat governors, as you know. Our previous governor, Jim Justice, now Senator Justice, was elected as a Democrat and and switched parties in order to endorse President Trump for 2016. And now he's senator, and we are blessed to have Governor Morsi. Thank God.
Yes, I have to agree with that. Thank God on the Governor Morsi. Were you going to say something, babe?
I still don't understand I'm trying to figure out a tactful way to say this, but I just don't understand the stupidity from people that are opposing regardless of what side of the aisle that you lean towards. Who would oppose like trying to uncover fraud, abuse, and ways like within our government, like that benefits all of us. That's not a red or blue or left or right. That benefits every single one of us. Who would, I just don't understand who would oppose anybody doing that. You're okay with, the IRS breathing down your neck, making sure that you file your taxes every year, and you're okay with all that, but you're not okay with somebody checking up on them for stuff.
It's Stockholm
Don't get it.
syndrome, baby. It's Stockholm syndrome. Those people, they don't know how to live out of oppression. Either the ones at the top have convinced them, and they're even pushing it in the universities and everything that, hey, you need us. It has to be done this way. I mean, it goes back to what we talked about last night about, the idiot index, right? They overthink stuff, or they see problems where none exist. And when that happens, then you're trying to create solutions for problems that are non-existent, and then we get stuck in that cyclone of vicious cycleness. I wanted to tell you all what stood out to me that I think is great. So I want the viewers to know that, and they are my witnesses, Land of Illusion and James, Land of Illusion and James, they had not spoken to each other when they gathered their material to present for tonight. So I'm going to tell you what I noticed. So they both presented local protests going on in our prospective states, and they also reported on violent crimes and responsibility as parents and all of that. So I think that's pretty wild. So I think that tells us we're on the right track, right? And I mean, man, that's just crazy. So I think what you brought to our attention is a great segue to lead into showing the clips of Governor Morrissey and his approach with things, unless you had anything else you wanted to add before we jump into that.
I would just like to add, after hearing James too, because it is pretty wild that we both picked the similar thing. I think it's not only just Stockholm syndrome. I think that the media and the greater beings are still suppressing all this information, and people are just not. I mean, even the Hannity interview did not get out as much as we thought it would. So we need to start honing in on really talking about the USA daily and where the numbers, and just putting it in faces, if it's on a podcast or on a space, something, because I'm shocked that there are this many people, and like he said, in these small towns protesting stuff they don't even understand what's going on.
It is. It's amazing. And this, just to piggyback on your point about mainstream media and the ridiculously awful job, they should be arrested. So when we went to the Salem, Virginia rally, the news reported like there was some kind of protest. Like, I mean, made it, and even the footage that they shot, it was only like 3 people, I think, like 2 women. Do you remember that, babe?
I do.
And when we heard the coverage, they made it sound like it was this big protest. And I was like, babe, we were all over that campus. I didn't see anybody. And the people that were the protesters, we just thought were either residents just hanging out. And then they even went as far as before the rally to tell Donald Trump that he shouldn't waste his time, that Virginia didn't want him. And I'm telling you, that Coliseum only held 6,800 people. There were twice that many on the outside as were on the inside. And for them, and there was Trump signs everywhere. How many? We've got it on video. There was only 3 booths for Kamala, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, yeah, that's all we've got on that. And before we go into these last clips, anybody else got anything?
I think we're good. I would say follow everybody on, I'm primarily on X, Land of Illusions on X. Our handles are our names. Regina is on X also. But you'll see me on YouTube and Rumble here soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're a team here, and you guys, thank you for being patient with us as we grow. I know my YouTube channel, you're probably like, what is this girl doing? There's book reading, Bible reading, interviews. What is she doing? Well, that's just me. I'm all over the place. What you see is what you get. But Kira and I are going to be growing another channel. We'll give you more information about that. Plus the Backyard Brawl, we're all in it together. My suggestion would be, I think the Backyard Brawl is probably going to be more geared towards West Virginia since we're the ones starting it. That doesn't mean that everyone's welcome. I just think for each state, when you have a mod for each state, they should probably start their own YouTube channel under, whatever they want. However it goes. But I love the Backyard Brawl Politics with the neighboring states, and to be able to go to one channel and then get West Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, all of it, right? So our channel is probably going to be the states mainly we've talked about that we have the most interaction with are the trifecta: Texas, North Carolina, and West Virginia. And then Pennsylvania, of course, and we've got some other people, but these are the ones that we work with the closest. So you guys, we are willing to jump in and help. So let's get into these last two clips, and then immediately after that, we're going to say our goodbyes and close out so I can get this footage launched out to you guys. And Justin's probably been going, is she ever going to launch this out? So Justin's not here with us tonight. You guys can find him as well on the X platform. And the fastest, quickest way to find all of us at one time is just to go check out the community. All right, let's get started. Y'all ready?
Yep.
So the first one is just him giving the interview, and then the second soundbite will be us giving our thoughts.
Knowledge was very helpful for me yesterday while we were on scene. State police officer providing us information about a local hauler that might be in trouble. We were able to make sure our resources were out there.
That might have been
And
our
then,
hauler.
In Welch yesterday, a gentleman came up. We were trying to stay out of the way of the folks that were doing work, and a local gentleman came up and spoke to the governor and said he'd like to volunteer somewhere, and the governor told him to go to the county emergency management at the local armory, the old armory. And while we were there, half an hour later, I saw that gentleman come in. And that's really what's happening in the communities across West Virginia, is West Virginians taking care of each other. And it was extremely impressive. So thank you, Governor. That's all I have.
We have time for a couple questions. Stephen.
Yeah, Steve Adams, Ogden Newspapers. I know obviously all focus right now is dealing with the current situation at hand. But when this is all done, I know you've got a responsibility, and you'll have a responsibility too, depending on consolidation of departments in regards to disaster mitigation recovery. I know the resiliency office is within the governor's office. You appoint the resiliency officer. They just developed an updated the state flood protection plan for the first time since 2004. What are your plans going forward in regards to that office, and specifically for trying to marshal state resources for flood mitigation so future floods or the damage of future floods can be lessened to some extent?
Stephen, it's a great question. And the way we're handling this is that we have the immediate short-term issues. So we have to make sure that we're dealing with everything on the ground so that we're helping people who need that assistance right away. So as the water recedes and we're getting to some of the rebuilding efforts, that's kind of the next phase of the process. There will be a point, and it will come sooner rather than later, that what you do is after an event like this, you do a post-event assessment and you review everything that happened at the beginning, how everything got handled from the onset through the end. And then I think you try to have critical learnings about what happened with all the different entities involved, with emergency management, with all of the agencies that are involved, how the process has worked historically, what happened today, and if you can continue to make improvements in the process. That's what we're going to do. We know that there hadn't been an update on that flood assessment for a very long time, and that had not received the attention that it had needed. We want to come back to you.
All right, so I have two statements on that. My first is a note to journalists. Journalists, when there is a major disaster stuff going on, now that guy did ask a good question. He did preface with, I know this is maybe not the time, but he did ask a good question. There were other journalists that were trying to ask way things that we can't even really think about, especially in the midst of a natural disaster going on. There's counties that need to be helped and stuff like that. So journalists, please keep that in mind when a public figure is giving a press release on something, that they're giving it on that topic. So when we go asking about squirrels and Sasquatch in the Appalachian Mountains, when they're talking about flooding and snow blizzards, I don't think that's the appropriate time. That's just my opinion. My second statement would be that I just felt like it was really generic, the statements, but Justin did cover that, so I'm not going to go too hard on our governor, especially since what we had before. We're hoping there can be a little bit of an offset, but you guys, now's the time to roll up our sleeves. We got 2 years till the primaries, and so whomever is looking, like our sheriff, there's term limits, so he's willing to run for another office. So now we got to figure out, if he can't serve a third term, what other office would he hold? So stay tuned for that, you guys. Did you guys have any little bit of commentary on that soundbite before I play the next one?
I think I think we pretty much covered it during it, but if I didn't hear if Big Russ had anything to say on it or at all.
Not really. I'm right there in the middle of it. The devastation down in that area was very, very similar to Western North Carolina. Everything from Logan County all the way over to Pike County and even surrounding areas were devastated, probably worse than a lot of people even realize that they were. So I'm not going to hit too hard on anything that if anybody's willing to help out in that area, it's very much appreciated. I know with my job and what I do, I volunteer to be a part of that and go down and even though I'm technically going to benefit from what happened, I'm also willing to go down there and get my hands dirty and try to help individuals get their houses and businesses back in order again. So
Did it strike you guys like when the storms had hit like the Carolinas, like people were posting about it from North Carolina, and nobody was really talking about it hitting southern West Virginia, but I had known from from you guys, and I had started looking into it, and I was like, well, wait a second, there's flooding and stuff happening in southern West Virginia.
I think a lot of people forget about the southern part of West Virginia. You see some things, that part of the area kind of touches the eastern part of Kentucky. And so it kind of gets lost down there, but there's a couple of rivers down there that rose above 40 to 50 feet. And that's enough to level or to flood complete towns and stuff down there. So you've got Williamson and Gilbert and South Logan, all those places. They're right now. They're still swimming.
Yeah.
They're still looking for possibility of dead people.
Well, stop right there. Stop right there, because that's in the video, you guys, that will be launching directly after. So spoiler alert, yes, there have been casualties. He did address that in the press release. And you guys, please be mindful of the families. As far as the missing person, there is a missing person. I was a little disturbed that name was not released, because how are we to look for someone missing unless they're already assuming the worst possible scenario, which is what I think is what they're thinking, which is why they didn't release the name. But you guys, directly after this live, I will be scheduling out that video where the full press release is on there. We give our full feedback on it. So that was a little spoiler alert, Big Russ. I did not tell him to not give it all away. So you guys, please make sure you go watch it for, mainly to stay informed. And you guys always know that all of us are available. Questions in the community. We are strongly encouraging people to, post more in the community, show pictures of your local area. Like Rusty was saying, we're willing to roll up our sleeves. We can, amongst each other, get some kind of phone tree going. And that's what we're looking to work with our local sheriff to really hone in that process to where we don't need federal funding anymore. So let's get into the second part of this, and then we're going to close out, you guys. Thank you for hanging with us. And y'all ready?
Yep.
Sarah, did you have any thoughts? I skipped you. I'm sorry.
Who,
I
me?
appreciate it.
Let's do this. You're good.
I appreciate it and know that we're going to keep working and staying on top of this. Thank you and be well.
Thanks, Doug.
Rise and shine. It's a brand new day. Got the world on my mind. Ain't no time to play. Chasing dreams, running fast, feeling no delay.
All right, guys. What you got? Who wants to go first?
Justin, of course, he's the mastermind.
I don't know about all that, but
He's brain, I'm Pinky.
just thinking common sense. I don't think it's possible after 2 days to have all the data. He seemed to have good data on power outages mostly, which seems to be the focus right now is the immediate needs. He did talk about when you stepped out about how local does take the front line, and then when they need help, they contact state. When state needs help, they contact federal. Trump does want to dismantle FEMA to a certain extent to where the federal government is just distributing the money and then it goes to the state and the state takes control and distributes it out. The idea being, of course, that the state is closer to the situation than the federal government is and can more effectively help. And of course, the local can help more than the state can.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get as close to the people as possible. When you have, especially in McDowell County, is the poorest county in the United States, you're going to need federal money. That's just a fact. But I would rather that the state just get the money and figure that part out because they're closer to the situation than the federal government is. We all saw what happened in Western North Carolina and the non-help that they received.
So if I could just interject a question here, when you talked about the state controlling it, which I agree with you, and that really, he said some things that really made me feel better, because I definitely want to remain as unbiased as possible. And, I know that it was pretty bad. We were without power for 12 hours. And we weren't as heavily affected as, say, other counties, and like you said, the poorer counties, until we can figure out how to get them, to where a county is not just always dependent on state funds or federal funds. And I think hopefully that's what he's gearing towards. And I did hear him say about consolidating departments. It's just, when I see things like West Virginia Prosperity Group, and then most of his appointees were from that, and now the press secretary is no longer there. I'm cool. We can move on. But it is, he's new. I get it. I think, I agree with you. I'm pretty middle of the road about that press conference. It was pretty standard. He answered questions and probably brought some comfort to people that are like, need to hear from our state leader. But we need to get closer, I think.
Absolutely. You know what I didn't hear? I didn't hear one and
That's pretty good because I can't even talk. That was good to end on. I didn't hear one. And you guys, we got somebody who showed us some love. Thank you, Photo Dumper. I like your profile name, by the way. Go ahead, James. What were you gonna say?
And
And I know because I'm the worst at
Oh no, I am. I heard myself last night. I was like, I said way too much.
But
You know, it, good.
every time Governor Justice would come on, we would count the and-ums. I'd be like, all right, so how many times can we count him saying and. Sometimes I'd be like and.
But you can tell when someone's because even the biggest content creators, anchor people have their own tick, like when and you can tell when someone's off cuff or when they're trying to be off cuff. Like if he was trying to off cuff it and his teleprompter went out, kind of like so much happened with Biden, you're going to be flailing. And apparently he's not good at improv. Now, me, usually, I'm just like, I'm tanking anyway. So I'm just going to pull anything I can to try to, steer the ship back right on course. But yeah, you guys, please, you guys, immediately after this live stream, we're going to release it out in its full form. You guys, please go watch that. Justin gave some great insight. So did James. And it makes me feel hopeful. I thought there was a good level of respect given. We weren't just jumping out press conferences before we even talked to family members and all of that. So I'm glad that our West Virginia voices are being heard. So once we get past this hurdle, maybe, we can get even closer. And Justin did say that in his experience that Patrick Morrissey is known to travel around and all of that. I just don't understand the not returning of phone calls. I get that you're being inundated, but that's what the purpose of a team is. If we've got two receptionists that can never answer a question and are afraid to give their name and identify themselves, that is definitely a problem. We can't have that in public service. That's all I got, guys. What have you got?
I'm just excited we have a governor now that's got a presence about him, and I'm hopeful for our state. As we know, everyone knows that we're one up there in the top for the poorest states in the country. So I'd like to see that, change, turn some things around here.
Absolutely. What are your wishes for North Carolina and for, of course, us, your neighboring state? We're always picked on over here in West Virginia.
My wishes are just that more people get up and get out and speak out, get involved. I'm excited that I'm getting involved. So if I could do it, anybody can do it.
Anybody can
So
do it.
cliche. No, but really, we got to get Tom Tillis out of here. He is a rhino. He needs to go. And I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be good. And I want to say I love what we did tonight. Like, this was super cool.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I got re-energized. I was really tired, but once we got going, man, I'm really into it. I think we got a great crew going here. Babe, what are your final thoughts, my Lord King husband? And
final thoughts on that last clip was, I think it's important for every state that we cut out the middleman. Like I'm all for cutting these agencies out, FEMA or whatever. There's no reason for FEMA to profit anything when you've got people in need and stuff. So let them go and give that money directly to the state so the state can distribute it the way that it's supposed to be, rather than trying to hold on to it for some type of profit to pay employees or whatever that they're doing with it that is causing that period of time that's wasted between people that really need to get that money into their hands. I just think that we need to get rid of those organizations and get that money straight to people in need so they can start to get their lives back together. You shouldn't have to wait, weeks or months to get help, when you've had something like that happen to you. And that's all these organizations do, is they just get in the way, and we need to get rid of those, give it back to the states, and let the states are not going to let their people suffer. I can promise you that they're not going to. That's like a business of some sort. You're not going to let your employees suffer for anything. A state is not going to let their own people suffer.
right. And a state that does, they've got a leader that's selling their position. Keep going, babe. Tell it.
That's all I've got to say. Get rid of the organizations that are in the middle, that's taking a cut off of whatever they're doing. Give it back to the states. Let the states deal with their own stuff. and everybody's going to be a lot better off. But that's all I've got to say about that.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. So, you guys, I am going to play a couple more clips from something that we started today. It's mixing it up with West Virginia Wire and Mixed Texan Report. We launched out our very first episode of our reaction videos as a collaboration. So I wanted to share that with you real quick. I'm going to play a couple of clips that are no more than a minute long, just to give you guys an idea of what it is. So I'll play the intro for you as a teaser so you guys can go check that content out. So here we go. You ready? Oh, you're going to love this. I don't think that's the one. Forgive me. Let me take that down. So we're going to get it. We're going to get it. It was this one.
Hey, that's happening now. West Virginia Wire. Regina reacts.
Oh, tenfold. Don't nothing good come to people that's evil like you. Then you said.
Then she said, if you're going to Beyonce's concert, you're stupid. They've officially turned on their queen bee. And now they're out here windmilling on TikTok, mad at not just Beyonce, but also at Ticketmaster, the real villain here, and even other fans who managed to secure tickets. It's pure chaos.
Yeah. She goes 35 for 30 minutes. I get to the back, and she wasn't being clear on the instructions. She starts telling me that's the first song, that's the second song. And then I was like, okay, after 30 minutes, I was like, okay, I'll pay you my 35. And I get up to pay her the 35. And then afterwards, she's like, you owe 175.
Come on. Come out. Come out. Come outside.
This is a woman.
What?
That dude, a woman.
Stop this madness.
Black woman.
Really heard it on the country music stations, and she won all these awards. So I know there's a big controversy about that. Like, so I'm not a fan of Beyonce. I liked her back when Crazy in Love came out because I thought she was attractive, but she's not my type anymore.
Who didn't? I mean, my husband thought she was fine too. Donovan.
$900
Okay, so you're.
And then she was offering a room for $200. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Got it. Okay.
So she did do it, and he knew exactly what was going on. So we're going to speed up a little bit because he's not just dry snitching. He starts putting it all out there. And what amazes me is that she is trying to get him to give her more money, and she's saying what she will do in exchange for it. And I believe it's illegal where they are. And that's exactly what you were talking about, Donovan. All right, you guys, so that's the thumbnail. Bad lap dances and high ticket prices. You guys, please go check out our content, and there's going to be way more to come. You guys, we're so excited. We thank you for joining us tonight for West Virginia Wire Backyard Brawl Politics collaboration, episode number 3, you guys, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.
Rise and shine. It's a brand new day. Got the world on my mind. Ain't no time to play. Chasing dreams, running fast, feeling no delay. We're the watchdogs, always watching what they say. Eyes wide open, we're taking what's ours. Breaking through the silence, aiming for the stars.